Next up, we have the television movie from 1996, Shadow Zone: The Undead Express. And to, I guess, preface this is a movie based off a novel, a kid's novel, and it's a movie that's more oriented toward, I guess you'd say, younger teens as opposed to adults. It's starts out like sort of like a cheap Tales from the Crypt type thing, and it feels like, this is my view, feels like about an hour and a half long episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark, which was a show that I watched quite a bit when I was young and much along with Goosebumps. So it feels like a really long episode of that show, which I was completely okay with. In the movie, this kid who has divorced parents runs into a bunch of vampires who live beneath New York City, and one of the vampires wants to, I guess, experience New York, so he tries to make a deal with the kid, and there's some things going on with his friends, and it's I would very definitely say it's a horror light movie, but there's enough vampire elements in it to be of at least mild interest, especially toward the end. I mean, this is a movie that I suspect a lot of people probably wouldn't enjoy that much, but I'll just throw it on the line that I think it's a deeply enjoyable movie. And even though it's sort of cheesy and corny and like totally 90s, I just get a complete kick out of it.
This is a first time watch for me, and I know every single time we discuss a vampire movie, I have to mention that I'm not a huge fan of vampire movies. So, I mean, the best vampire movie, in my opinion, is the original Fright Night, which I think I'd give an 8 out of 10 to. So that's kind of, the ceiling for me, at least so far.
And this is in the basement.
It's not quite in the basement. It's certainly not bad. I actually I didn't mind it, but it is a bit corny. It is a bit more of a kind of like a childish version of Tales from the Crypt, like you were saying. I actually had that in my notes too. Like if you're a fan of vampires and maybe Tales from the Crypt, you'll possibly enjoy this. But yeah, like you said, it's a bit light in terms of violence and things you'd normally see in horror movies. So there is still quite a lot of vampire action. I think some of the characters are moderately interesting, like the head vampire. He had some charisma to him. I mean, the movie starts off with a basketball scene, so immediately that catches my attention. Any movie with a basketball montage immediately is worth watching. There's just a few things in the movie that I had to question, I guess. Like, towards the end, they're making this new deal about if he flips the switch for them. They said they couldn't flip the switch because of the light. Did I miss something, that they couldn't just flip it when it's dark?
Yeah, that is not a bad question, and I'll be honest, I don't quite get it either. I'm assuming there was some good reason that maybe we were not privy to.
And the thing is, in addition to that, in the same scene, and I'm kind of spoiling the movie here, I guess, is that, okay, he flips a switch and you go beyond, you're going to be in the light. Isn't that going to kill you? And 5 minutes later, we see them getting killed by the sun.
I think I don't know this for sure, but I think the other vampires sort of assumed it was nighttime.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure. I'm assuming they trusted the leader to not take them out, during daytime. But I don't think it's made completely clear.
Yeah, it just seemed a little messy. Like they needed a little more thought put into those parts.
Yeah, and there's actually a few things I want to mention for this. So the main kid in this movie is a big horror fan, and he goes to this video store, and there's like a bunch of like old school horror posters in the movie. I think The Mutations is one of them, which is a 70s horror movie, and there's a few others in there, and it's sort of nice to see these references. I guess we're one to old time video stores. Where I went to stores like that all the time when I was a kid. Not quite as cool as this one though. And it was just fun, especially I think the video clerk was asking the kid, hey, how about the colorized version of Eraserhead? Kid just replied that it didn't help the movie, which is very true. I can't imagine a colored version of that movie being much good.
Just speaking of that video store, I took note of all the different posters outside. I was thinking, what a weird collection of posters. Like you've got like that Snake movie, whatever you want to call it, or SSSSSS, and then Evil Dead 2 next to it. Yeah,
it's beautiful. And later the kids of course watching Night of the Living Dead because that's the only horror movie in the other horror movie shows. But
that's a go-to public domain movie.
Yeah, and I think I've mentioned in the past that usually annoys me, but this time around, I think it was okay. I can see the kid turning on late night watching that because it seems like it's the type of movie this kid would watch. And then another small note. There's a character who appears in this movie just a few times, which is the psychiatrist counselor type guy for the kid, and that guy is played by Wes Craven, which is sort of nice to see him just in a few scenes, and the ending, which is iffy, but it's sort of nice to see him. And one other note, and this one probably would mean more to me than most people, but the main vampire guy, the charismatic type guy, is played by an actor named Ron Silver. He's not a particularly big actor, at least looking through his movies, but he was in a show that I watched called The West Wing, which is a political-based show, and he plays a recurring character. So, seeing him playing here as a sort of charismatic vampire going to the other show, and personality is pretty much the same, I found it exceedingly amusing. And I've seen this movie before, but at the time I had seen it, I didn't really know this guy. So coming back to it, I don't know, I guess increased my fun.
I guess, if you're a Wes Craven fan, that cameo might do something for you. I'm not the biggest Wes Craven fan. Obviously, I like Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream's decent, but if I hear, hey, this movie's by Wes Craven, well, is it any good?
Well, I just sort of like we don't see him on screen all that often. I know he has I guess a decent amount of cameos, but he's not on scene all that often. The only one I can think of off the top of my head was, I guess 2 movies, New Nightmare and I think The Fear from '95, which is pretty forgotten. So it's just sort of nice to see him. Oh, also, I'm sorry, I did have one more thing. And this is very much what you might expect from a kids themed movie. It just because you see it all the time in Are You Alone, Afraid of the Dark, or Goosebumps. But the main white kid has of course, a female friend and a black male friend. So you get some diversity thrown in there. And just to throw in some extra trials, the female friend has dyslexia, which I don't know. That's something I don't see all that often. Somebody with like a learning disability, which it's not like majorly interesting, but I found it somewhat unique. And of course, that scene where he's sort of going after her for not being able to ride a payday, that was a hard bone. I cringed during that. That was difficult.
Just before you go to your rating, just one other thing I'd ask you about it, because I haven't looked it up. Is this a TV movie? Because it has like a very TV movie type vibe to it.
Yeah, IMDb listed as a TV movie that was first aired October 27th, 1996. I'm not sure what station that would be. It's actually worth mentioning that there was another Shadow Zone movie from the following year, 1997. That movie called My Teacher Ain't My Homework, I believe. I've also seen that one. It actually has a slightly higher rating on IMDb, but I actually think this is a better movie. But that said, if you have seen this movie and you enjoyed the feel of it, you also might want to check out the other one. So, yeah, this is a movie that isn't your typical horror movie, but I had a blast with this the first time I saw it, and I really enjoyed it this time. And again, I know it may not, mean much to many people, but just seeing Ron Silver here, playing a really interesting vampire character, and even the end, you can't but respect him a bit. I think it's really interesting. I think it's amusing. I liked all the, all the exaggerated lies the kid told. Just all very, very 90s kid horror. And like I said, I grew up with a lot of that, So this is just a fun movie, and I'm giving this an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 5, which to me is not a terrible score. We just established it's a TV movie, it's a vampire movie. Those are two things that are not exactly my favorite, when we're talking about movies. So
It should have been from the 1930s, just to throw in an action.
yeah, it was from 1930s. That would have affected it even more. So yeah, it was okay. I mean, if you like lines like "You lie like a rug," or if you have interest in watching a vampire spend some time with a little boy, like he's a bit of a pedo, like he's grooming the boy for some hot vampire action, it might also help do something for you. It was okay for a one-time watch. I can't see myself caring to see it again, though.